now. Okay, so let's see. I'm just trying to find the very interesting.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say you just pull a Learnshare.
I know. All right, hold on. I'm right here. First one. The first one again. Learnshare.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Now, if you'll notice, the Fibonacci sequence has two intervals of 12 within it, which, 12, 1 plus 2 is 3. And then when you get to 24, 2 plus 4 is 6. And then when you go to reverse Fibonacci, it goes in sequences of 9. So 3, 6, and 9 shows up there as well within Fibonacci and the invert with reverse Fibonacci. That's just one other 3, 6, 9 where it shows up. Now, I keep recognizing this 3, 6, 9, and I can't help it. It's everywhere. And like when you, well, I don't want to go too far into it, but if you have any questions about what I mean when I say there's 12 in the Fibonacci, and then there's the complete cycle is 24, like our night and day cycle on our clock, if we're going by 12 or military time.
Well, it's interesting also that 24 is the first one of Marshall's holotones. And so that's 2 times 3 times 4. And then when you multiply it again by 3, you get 72, the next holotome. And then you multiply that by 5, and that's how the holotomes work. But were you going to relate this to music?
Actually, yeah. If you take a look at right here, it's labeled Learnshare Nachi. It's since been revised to Learnanachi. Someone. Anyway, I can't take the credit for naming these things, and all I did was recognize them and point them out and get confirmation that these are legit empirically here. All right, this Learn Sharonacci here, it's enabled, has 1, 4, and 7, but it also has a 2 in it. And what the 2 represents is the relationship from the other circuit. And this works so well for the 3, 6, and 9, but also music. Okay, if you take the 1, 4, 7, that's the what I call modality of 3s, because in intervals of 3 right there in between them, or 1 plus 3 is 4 plus 3 is 7. All right, and then this 2 from the 2, 5, 8, what it does is it couples with the 1 to form 3, couples with the 4 to form 6, couples with the form, or not couples, but add it to. When I say couple, you add it to, and it equals 9. 3, 6, 9 is represented right there in this sequence. And this sequence has this beautiful potential for music. Am I able to grab the screen share?
I think what you could do is if I get off screen share, you could do your own screen share. So let me get off screen share, and then I think Ryan, are you back on?
I'm back on. I'm really sorry about that, guys.
That's all right. I was just worried about you. I didn't know if I should call you back on if you had a kung fu emergency. I just didn't know. So
no, my phone actually decided to turn off and do an update in the middle of this call. I don't know.
Very important.
Too smart.
We agree.
Okay,
Wasn't
Learnshare, you should be able to. Can you find it on there on your
Lower right, two screens next to the flashing heart.
yeah or the
Okay.
3 dots? You can,
All right. I'm doing the 2 screens. It says share computer sound on because that's what I'm sharing.
mm-hmm.
Screen share and sounds.
Wait, something's coming up. Okay, so I see us.
Okay, you see us. Now let me click over to this.
Okay.
Do
Yep.
you see this player?
Yep.
sure.
Okay. I have this turned down because I'm not sure of the level. But to be safe, we're going to listen at a low level volume. And this is the numbers, which is now learning Nachi. But anyway, here it goes. Demonstration, practical application. Sounds like I need to turn it up a little.
Yeah, quite a bit actually.
Okay. I'm not going to do my sister that injustice. It's too beautiful. All right, here we go.
So would you like to tell us exactly how you've implemented the 369
Yeah,
into
or what?
this?
Yeah, exactly. What are we listening to with numbers? Please.
The pattern I just shared with you. 1, 2, 4, 7. And it reciprocates back into. It's so simple. But 1 equals A, and in our attempts to recover true tuning, um, we comprehend like 432 as A, but the butchery to time that took place when we changed to the half-life of cesium just threw us off. We have leap seconds. We just had one December 31st. We had 86,401 seconds on the 31st of December, and then it went back to 86,400 per day after that. I mean, so yeah, it is off as far as our cycles, hertz, cycles per second. The value of a second's been thrown off. So we've also been coming from different directions. We found the same tuning for A, 4026.1. So this is tune A 426.1. This is one sequence, one melody, part of a song which is more than likely about finished as I speak. But anyway, this was the beginning, and I'm sharing this pattern with you guys now. Should I continue, or was that good enough?
Yeah, is there any way you can turn it up to finish it?
It's me maxing it out.
Okay. All right, we'll be quiet. I'll be quiet.
Okay, I will do.
Hey, Learnshare, I have a question. My
Excellent.
question, my question is what? Okay, so I'm going to bring it back to medicine. So, is there a specific reason why you're doing, specific
Yes.
patterns? And have you gotten any responses from those so far?
We're infancy in our R&D with this. 3 weeks we've come so far. Just I can only imagine what's going to happen. Um, time doing it with more people that not only uh, can recognize and can comprehend, but can actually practically apply in different areas, different fields of, to break down the boundaries to show where this is all, how each thing connects, where the conjugate in this pattern, and there's multiple patterns, and yeah, that's why I found it so hard to swallow when someone told me that all the songs have already been written. All we do is just put the same, pattern down and, write different lyrics or something. And I just shook my head. No, 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 no. I don't buy that with anybody's money.
Well, how would you design a test to demonstrate how the pattern in the music affects physical healing?
That's what we're questioning now. Like, I'm a prime candidate for someone that needs to heal and continue to heal. Um, I have atrophied, so as far as like um, prime candidate for listening to these different tones and these different patterns. I love it. It's beautiful to me. And as we go on, um, I guess I don't know how to cut myself in half to have a control, but you know what I mean? Um,
I think it's well spoken about that music or vibration sound is a strong effect on health or affect. Could choose any word
yes.
there because and going to numbers just shortly you could say, but it's extremely advanced to talk about how to calculate mathematics for different intervals or different tones in the music you actually do it, and that's a classical mathematical field. Even like the Pythagoreans, they would discuss it intently, and the Pythagorean comma is much spoken about in the so-called tempered tuning systems. And I will break that talk because it's very boring for someone not interested in music to sit and listen, because when you calculate, it's extremely delicate how you will receive the frequency you should tune it to, and the effects done so and so. In current era, in our times, we suffer from small droplets of poison into our sacred music. Not only tradition is ripped under our feet away from old people's songs and way to sing it, but also how it's tuned. So it's standard A is tuned to 440 hertz, and someone will make images on well, you can take the frequency and make it visualize, and they will see like in this frequency one way to visualize the vibration is to take a metal sheet and put the vibration into the sheet and put sand on it. That's many have seen it on YouTube, I'm sure, and you will see patterns of structure appear on the plate according to different frequencies. So 440 is tuned to be dissonant, or it will
Destructive.
it will not be very beautiful together with normal natural structures. And I am, as a musician myself, it's more the amateur way. This is something very nice to do, like for meditation or relaxing, whatever. But I practiced somewhat, quite a lot before, and I have interest for music and math and hearing about these things. And then there's much talk about some would argue, no, the quite natural or best harmony would be if you would tune system into 432 hertz for the standard A. And there, I tried that for a while. I could retune my professional synthesizer to manipulate this. But then I heard about there was a debate, and I researched it on internet, and I also tried to study a bit on the mathematics of it, which is extremely complicated. But I heard the argument about, well, actually 444 hertz and how to do it. Some persons argued is the actual way to go about it, and I decided myself to use both. And the first one I tried was 432 hertz, so I retuned. But in the same occasion I was experimenting with this, I started, because in our synthesizer we have the options to do different older tuning systems, and in the older days, not only did there was a long debate in the music industry about how to tune the keyboard instruments. So the piano came later in the 1800s, but before it would be cembalo, I guess, or other key instruments. They you have to fix the tuning. You cannot alter it while you play. As a horn musician or wind musician, he can adjust his tone a little bit during playing, or a violin, of course. But a pianist, he cannot do it, so he has to fix the tones to make some system. In today they use something called equal temperament, and every tone is divided into 12 equal steps, and that is an extra layer of small poison thrown into the experience of, because it will make distortion on specific positions in music, like the fifth tone, the fifth tone, the dominant, is an extremely important part in music for creating a variation or strong movement. That's something very important. But in equal temperament, it's not really close. So there are compromises in different systems. And I discovered one system is called Kernberger, and another is called Werkmeister, after two, I think, from the German talking world, musician theoreticians, and they manipulated and made their versions, and it was very popular in the 17 and 1800. That was the more standard. So I added into, and I came to be fond of Werkmeister tempered tuning. And after trying 432 hertz and moving on to try 444 hertz as an alternative, I discovered that 432 degrees would have an effect to almost make me sleepy, but 444 hertz filled me more in a strange way. Well, it had an effect, a bodily effect, how you change, and also me changing for Werkmeister tuning, temper tuning system instead of equal temper tuning. And if you switch between those two, a musician, he will be very sensitive in his ears. He will say, well, it sounds awful, because he will switch over to something competing with his inner ear, his feeling of how the tone should sound. It can be a quite delicate thing. I will stop here.
Well, I mean, I agree about some of the tuning stuff. Again, another musician, but it matters. I don't keep a standard tuning on my instrument, but I don't really go to a tuner and find an exact frequency either. I just tune it to my ear and my voice. So that's my just low-tech practical approach.
Sure.
I find it interesting that the numbers tend to have quality in addition to quantity measurements. And I think that a lot of people just look at numbers and they want to add them to get more, just the quantity. But that the quality of numbers, especially when it comes to music, is highly important. And it seems like when the numbers add up to a multiple of three, that tends to be more a resonant frequency that we appreciate. So 444 add up to 12, which 1 plus 2 is 3. It makes sense that that would be a pleasurable frequency different from 440, which adds up to 8.
I agree 100%. And that's what the math keeps showing as far as the rhythmic sequence patterns that keep showing up is the balance. There keeps, I don't, and it doesn't matter what numbers, base system. Um, it it keeps recurring and proving itself so far. And let's see, besides music, the other implications of finding what I call the value of zero when it comes to measurement of frequency, what we call hertz. Um, would it include? I mean, that's just me. I can't help but see what I call obvious to me, but to most people, it's like they don't comprehend. And now I have a better comprehension of why that is. Um, some people just have a natural aptitude for, um, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or whatever. It's individuals, and they have us, our creative musicians, also logical and mathematicians. So that's both sides of our brain that we are connecting and learning, and I would like to continue to learn together, um, because I am but one small perspective, and I could bring one little part, and that's it. And it would be lovely to uh, communicate across different fields of study and overcome these boundaries we call terms and phrases, um, or linear grammatic algebra, that's kept us separated, because negative means positive from jump to jump, etc. Field to field as far as compartmentalization of studies. And um, like many people, I have many interests, so I've not limited myself to one field, and it's helped me comprehend that these limitations are not real to me, not anymore. But that's, each individual to their own, and I just would like to help bring a little bit of what I can, and that's all.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point. We're all here to transcend our limitations. That's the point of this whole channel. That's the point of the whole discussion, ultimately, isn't it?
Let's
I think so.
let's pick the point about Ryan. You mentioned 7 registers in the memory system of the brain, because normally in music we count 8. We play the scale and we land on the number 8, but number 8 is actually the duplet of the first digit. So it's actually 7.
One,
It's
yeah.
actually 7 base counting system. So
That's true.
number 8 would actually be the one repeat, and number 9 would be number 2 repeat.
Scale is what you're saying, and that's true.
But we call it
in music,
an 8 base because 9 is the highest, and 10 base. Hello.
yeah, sure, that's good. You're correct, man. And but at least it's
No problem. No
but
problem. I was
They
just
still
really
call it tonic, though.
you will start with 1, 2, so you actually have 7 digits. That's actually, you have no zero in music. So,
Yeah.
well,
So there are only 7 distinct tones, and the
I would,
eighth tone is the octave.
I would guess so, and I would try to tie in the number 3 and 7 again. But again, in music, that's the third, the terce. We call it tash in our language. I guess it's terce in English. And the septima, the third and the septima, they are called so-called lead tones. They are easy tones
Right.
to step on, to
That's your
develop.
pentatonic, right? That's your five note scale. If you go the first, third, fifth, and seventh back to the octave, right?
Well,
And then
when you improvise or create a melody, it's very common to use the third or the seventh note
Um,
to get momentum in a development of a musical emotional vibration
that's a
idea will
pentatonic
spin off.
scale. And we have, pentatonic. The standard scales are heptatonic, but there are octatonic, there are nonatonic scales. There, you can play with different ways of parsing the notes up between octaves.
Absolutely, and actually, normally they will count 8 and eight white keys and 5 black. They will normally try to push in the Fibonacci series like a hidden way in music, one way or another. So there are lots of like interesting things interlaced into music, like the secrets in plain sight all around us. I'm not so familiar with too much about it, but well, you could figure. I hear some people talk about it.
I was also thinking, okay, so I do something else too that has to do with numbers, even though I'm not counting. I'm just looking. So a lot of the Rudolf Steiner work, in a lot of the biodynamic, studying I've done at Rudolf Steiner College. Um, One of the things that we would look for is patterns to figure out what the numeral pattern is, that we know. Say, for example, I believe apples, if they're cut a certain way, they show a 5-star pattern. So we look at the number 5, and then, but what we'll say is, we won't say, oh, look, it's the number 5. But what we'll say is, oh, look, we can see its relationship to Venus, right? And then we have this whole, structure about what the imprint of Venus is, on the apple, what its relationship is. But I was thinking that was kind of interesting too. Something else I was thinking about is, like, I guess I do kind of look for number patterns out in the environment and nature a lot. Also to figure out, herbal medicines and things that I'm using. But I guess I never really kind of put it together or attached it to like a number code. But, to heal the body, or to heal, ourselves physically, all we're missing is information and data. So, whether that information and data is put in through nutrition, or, maybe even music, and you can put these codes back into the body, you can actually, heal it. I look at nutrition as just data and information in my practice, and about, people getting the right combinations. It just, replaces the information and data that's exempt in those areas, or dismal.
Well,
Go ahead.
oh well, no, I was just gonna say I'm a huge proponent of sound healing, like for for the people that have studied it and actually know the frequencies to do the right things. I think it is profoundly effective.
well, that's why I welcome anyone to help or challenge, or however you want to look at it. If you're interested in this, um, to get in touch with me. If you see something that I'm missing, or something wrong with the math or anything like that, I'm definitely want to reciprocate, because as I'm helping another comprehend I'm seeing it in a different way as a teacher. Um, uh, that's why I want to remain an excellent student.
The sound frequency relationships were developed by a gentleman named Royal Rife back in the
Right.
1930s. And the
Right.
Rife machine was a really cool generator of tones that would do a lot of good healing. But somehow he got on the wrong side of the medical establishment through the FDA, and they decided that it was harmful, not good, and went
Oh.
after Dr. Rife.
You want to know a convenient coincidence that happened right at the same time?
Okay.
Penicillin.
Of course.
Big Pharma. Penicillin. No, seriously, I'm not joking.
Well, they
You can look it up. Don't take my word for it, honestly.
sure.
Well, no, I mean, we should know by now that the at least the AMA is a Rockefeller organization, and it's designed to cater to big pharma. It's not designed to keep us healthy. It's designed to keep us sick and medicated.
No cures, just treat the symptoms. And, yeah. But anyway, he did, and this is documented, successfully cure terminally ill patients. And,
Right. Yeah.
and got dropped like a sack of taters because of the money. But anyway, that just shows you the ugliness part of reality. But then back to the beautiful part of somehow something's happening. We are learning, rediscovering truths that are beautiful, and the implications, the solutions that seem to lie within grasp. Um, that's something that helps keep me interested. That, along with being a musician and songwriter, and I want to have, well, I'm learning that I, as an individual, affect every person and everything, everybody that I come in contact with the words I say, how I say it, what I do, that my emotions at the moment. Other people can feel it. We're all transceivers. We transmit and receive. And I want good. I want to help. And anybody, that wants good and their volition is that, genuinely interested, um, and wanting to help recover and reclaim what was taken or lost, or however you want to word it.
Well, it seems to me that harmonics is all about number patterns, and number patterns, when they flow, find harmonic amplitudes. So the idea that frequency is based on time, I think, is a misnomer. And I think that time based on frequency is also a misnomer, that frequency and time actually are different measures of the same thing. And so right now, I think that there's a lot that's set to disrupt human frequencies by not allowing us to get into comfortable number patterns.
Agreed.
Yeah.
People speak of the 11th harmonic on 440 and it equals 6. Well, without balance, it's 6. That's it. And that's the only
Yeah.
time it hits uh, 3, 6, 9, whatever it is. Anyway, long story short, the discordance is to the point where um, the here and now is also attempting to evaluate. It's very difficult trying to read these Schumann resonances that seem to What, go off the scale, shut down? I don't know what occurs. I'm trying to read these things, and if someone has a comprehension of that, I would love.
Yeah, Lenny, and if time is not connected to frequency, there, because we talk about scalar energy, and a scalar is when you have a graph, you will plot out the x and y axis, and the measure you will take on those is the actual scalars. That's why we have scales or denominations and try to measure from something. We observe something. So what would be the vectors, or what would be the things surrounding frequency if it would not be time?
Well, you see, time and frequency are measured both the same way. I mean, time is measured in frequency, frequency is measured in time, and it's sort of like jobbing the subject. I think there's a different relationship there that we're missing something.
Well, it's aspects of same, you mean? It's looking different directions onto the same thing, you mean?
Yes.
Well, that I can understand. Okay.
Well, but it is circular, and we should understand that because right, without an empirical, or I mean, okay, time is intrinsically empirical, I suppose. We all experience it directly, but what I mean is without like a standardized, measurable unit of time, how can we ever talk about frequency? But actually, what we do use to measure time is frequency.
Correct.
So it's completely a circular argument. And because time is actually an aspect of thought, of consciousness, that we don't have a really a solid way of grasping what it is, and it can telescope dramatically. It can telescope fractally. It's amazing what time can do in states of crisis, or states of maybe psychedelically induced states or whatever. You can have eons in moments.
Yeah, I think we have worked the system that we've normalized it to human behavior. And so we have gotten so used to our clocks and our calendars to keep us on a time track. And don't get me wrong, they're very useful for coordinating. If we didn't have that concept of clock time, we couldn't have a discussion like this where we all come together at the same time from different time zones to have the dialogue. But whether the human lifespan of 80 years actually takes 80 years or a millisecond or 20 centuries, we can't tell from this perspective because frequency is measured in time, time is measured in frequency.
Biologist likes to say, well, the heartbeat is the measure of lifespan. So there's some theories in biology of that. So a little mouse, his heart beats very fast, and it will reach so and so many. And the elephant's heart, it beats very slow, but they will reach approximately the same amount of beats over their lifespan.
Right. And therefore, by being a vastly different size, they would have vastly different lifespan. And
Sure.
Elephants have been known to go over 100 years.
Absolutely.
I don't think mice make it much more than 4 or 5.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Hey, there's kind of like something that's really important there, because I don't know, you could say if you're racing through life at faster speed, your life might be too fast, go by too fast. You got to slow down.
First one to the grave wins.
The first one to what? The
So,
first one
well,
to the
first one
grave with?
6 feet under, he wins.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna be
No,
last.
that's true though. Actually, I had a friend in college, and so he was, I don't know, he was working the summer, but he was just trying to, he was working the summer as a wildland firefighter so that he could make money and just do a shit ton of classes through the school year so he could graduate early or whatever it was. And I was just like, what's the rush? What are you? And he had a really good answer. He said, well, I'm in a hurry to get my life over with.
Mm.
And I was like, well, okay, good on you then. Because, you know, but it's true. I mean, we measure our lives in these like certain events and whatever, and you live your life in a rush and you're stressed out and whatever, you're gonna have a short life, and it's gonna be full of stress and tension and bullshit. Why?
Well, I think things like accomplishment and schedule, and people think that they're getting somewhere the faster they move. All of those things are kind of like mainstreamy type.
Yeah, but they're rats on a wheel.
They totally are.
It's just a dangle.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the hamster wheel is actually a clever metaphor for the parasitic system that actually drains us. So the move faster in our society is a true statement over that our society. If I go through a landscape and I see the houses they are old and they fall apart, I will say like this government around this area is a true parasite because they leave nothing over for the poor people to actually take care of themselves. So much of what we do is actually designed for us to, go run faster, but it will only, the result will be the same for you, and you will gain nothing because the game is rigged for a parasitic siphoning off of energy.
So this is really good because I mean we're get back to numbers, but the parasitic system, the slavery system, is, well, I guess this probably won't be popular, but what has been propagated on us through first the financial system, and second the judicial system, the legal system, are both forms of basically Jewish word magic.
Absolutely.
And when we come back to the Hebrew alphabet, the Hebrew letters are actually numbers. It is a numerological system itself.
Correct. This debate many mathematicians tries to poo-poo. They say, well, numerology is nothing. It has nothing to do with mathematics, but in real it does. Continue.
Well, I mean, I can't really claim to have a deep understanding of that numerological system, so I'm not. This isn't the beginning of a whole tirade about that, but I do think that they have a certain understanding of numbers, and it shows because they've set up a rigged financial system in order to steal all of our wealth. I mean, they obviously have a certain sophistication within their traditions and whatever they have that they've
Sure,
kind of gone to the world.
100%.
Well, I
Well,
mean, it would go back. I mean, wouldn't it go back to, they're just basically stealing, you're allowing the stealing of your data and information, which could be your ones and zeros, which could be biological, could be chemical, could be, and like a bank account. So it could be physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, right? That they're collecting and siphoning out the information and data, which is, goes back to number systems, right?
And coming back to the numbers, where do you think the cybersecurity capital of the world is? Jerusalem, of course. Come on now.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. But the numbers connected to the Hebrew alphabet, that's okay. But some will say there are the deceivers and there are the creators, and someone created the Hebrew alphabet. No one could dispute that. But the so-called bad team and good team seems to use the absolute same symbols or signs or metaphors,
Right.
but they dress it in opposite action. So you should judge someone after the result of what he does, not what he says. So the fruit of the labor. So in this parasitic system, is like deceiving is the object of using symbols. So a creator, like someone mentioned early on in this conversation, said like, well, there's this man, and he said we don't study enough the really basic, interesting stuff that we could ponder in mathematics or numbers. So you and he couldn't express it in numbers, but he could express it in visuals. So actually you can use numbers. Let's go to, if you use numbers for parasitic system, it's I heard the rumor that the 22 the so-called ruling families of Israel are 22 families. Well, of course, because they have 22 letters in their alphabet. Well, let's go some deeper, because the Fibonacci has been a big theme of the talk today. The Fibonacci sequence as an image or a reflection of the golden section, the golden ratio, and 22 by 7 is the famous other, well, so-called sought-after, beautiful or learned number, the number pi. So that's
Well,
a
it's an
key.
approximation, right?
That's a key reason why the Hebrew alphabet has 22 signs, and the so-called 22 mafia families of ruling Israel. Of course, they should be 22 family clans, because, well, that's the table that's they're offering seats for the mafia, and if you try to grab a seat extra, well, they will not offer, because the symbology, they both the good and the bad team will use the same kind of structures to try to have in their doings. They use it, and they are fond of it, and they talk about universal or like key interesting observations or matters of fact of life. If I would
So
mention short, the Swedish alphabet, I think 28 letters, the English alphabet 26. 26, of course, is the half year, and there's the small and large letters, the capital and lesser letters, and that's 52, like the sequence of the year. So
In the
a
deck
lot
of
of the
cards.
all I think Russian has 33 or something, because 33 is the number for the exact sunrise in the exact angle, same angle in the exact day of the year. Takes 33 years for that to occur again. So that's why the so-called connection between the story of Jesus in the Bible and he dies at 33, because, well, that's a metaphor in addition to everything else told as the eternal wisdoms in the Bible. You will add in those things to keep in tradition, oral tradition or written tradition, for future generations, so we will not lose the key wisdoms
I
to
have this
carry in
kind of,
life.
right.
I just have this
I
kind of
mean,
crazy thought about, like one of my favorite things about Native people is Native storytelling, because they, unlike, other peoples in the world, they really did not write their stuff down, right? Some people took the oral histories in some cultures and they wrote it down, and some it was made up for them, whatever else. But Native people keep their stories, very oral and traditional, and they pass them down. And you know, I'm always amazed at the stories. But one thing I kind of put together today because they also, one of my native teachers, explained native languages to me, and that their languages are considered sing-songy, right? Because it's less a language and it's more of a sing-songy, right? So they're talking, but it's in kind of in a song way. And then, a lot of it has to do with storytelling as well. And maybe, like there's also the Dogon tribe, which knows so much more. They consider them primitive, but physicists have learned tons of information from these people because they dance, they they make the costumes, they do certain patterns and how they move around, how the songs are, the frequencies of the beats of the song, especially with the drum, and all of these things that maybe, what they are is mathematical equations that they're playing out, and that they're verbalizing, and that they're drumming. Anyway.
Can I say that you're definitely on to something? It's communication that's been passed down to apt pupils that have recall. In other words, um, we were always tested back when in tribal pre-infiltration days to the ones that showed the most aptitude for memorization, total recall. I know there's a movie called that, but that's not what I'm talking about. Um, but being able to visually see it as they recall it and reproduce it,
Yeah.
as the Dogons, as the Salish, as many actually that speak of same things. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
so they would be called the storytellers. Like if I went and talked to some of my native friends, and they're going to tell me, a parable of life, a life parable. Usually it's from the storyteller. It's the keeper of the stories and the knowledge.
oh yeah, I mean, I had the honor and blessing to listen to my great grandpa. He was full-blooded Cherokee, and I was full of questions. And for some reason, he took time to share some information with me that sounded basically ridiculous at the time. But now I've come to learn he was just sharing knowledge, and more of it's proven itself true. That, along with my other elders that I had the blessing and honor to, for some reason, they took a little time to share a little data with me, little info, little knowledge, and I appreciate it. It's helped me comprehend a lot better. Because the first question I asked him was, "Why are you not angry with white man?" And he kind of chuckled a little bit. He said, "Because the infiltration was here long before this last rediscovery of America." Um, he said that when their peoples got here, there was already thriving civilizations of all different races already here, and that even during his time, some of the chiefs in the different tribes were of different races. Um, you can take like Chief Tuscaloosa, which translates to warrior black. He was a 7 foot tall black man. Then you had others that were blue-eyed blonde, green-eyed, red-haired, big dudes that wound up being chiefs of these different tribes. And but he also said that the infiltration occurred way before this what we call discovery of America.
Yeah, and there was also too. I mean, a lot of these mythological type beings. Also, like a lot of my teachers, have talked about, were um, real. Like some of these, Naga characters and other characters that came, because they also came from the star nations. It's only been recently that we think our reality is what we think it is. I mean, you even look at the U.S. history. And there were, before George Washington ever became whatever he was, there were 5 leaders, and they were African American of, the America continent that nobody talks about, that
They were already here.
grew up,
Yes, they were
from,
already here.
yeah. So, it's
And
crazy.
the interesting part was you heard it from your own family. You had it still in your own family. I wrote something in the
Yes.
chat section there. You can see the connection between oral traditions is a very key. That's actually the destroyer teams. That's their favorite thing, to really safeguard their own tradition, like so jealously pushing their own history and keeping it totally intact, but stealing the traditions or the knowledge from the so-called creative team. So that's a very key parasitic trait to say we will do one thing, but you will not do what we do, and at the same time they will try to get things from you. That's like the getting the energy to them is so important, but nothing can come. Well, they cannot share reality like they have no system. If you are a parasite in biology, well, that's your task in life, a tough job. The only thing you can do is try to portray yourself as the beautiful savior of your existence and try to be invited in. And then you will get your free meals. So, but they actually, our job should be, we should guard this very sacred job, this sacred task to keep the memory of our traditions, of our families, of everything this and what you tell like this, that you have this strong memory in your family. That's a beautiful gift. That's very interesting to hear.
All right, everybody. So, hey, let's we try to keep it to about 2 hours on the collab. I mean, we can always set up, and this is the other thing too for people who are visiting the collab. It is a group that Lenny and I have kind of spearheaded on YouTube, but we have these different topics. But if anybody wants to call a topic, we can call a topic. People want to get together and talk about numbers again. Everybody just has to let me know, and I can put it together, with everybody, and then find people who want to participate. So we always want to make sure and invite people and have. And I really think this was a super awesome talk, to be honest. So I had a really good time today. But is there anything that anybody? We're going to do like the final. We're going to do the final head out. I don't have anything to add, but would like to hear from you guys, your last thoughts.
Well, let's break the silence, and I'll take some words. I met a man, and he and I studied archaeological sacred sites or ceremonial Bronze Age sites, and he is a keen metric. He has a keen metric and intelligence to measure, and these numbers they appear everywhere in our sacred forefathers' monuments. His wisdom to everyone is to say the first number before any number is number 2. Without a number 2, number 1 cannot exist. So that's his firm, thing he will try to discuss or to offer you to ponder and think about. So it was, I will agree with you, Bridgette. It was really nice to talking to all of you, and I enjoy when I could make some pauses and get reflections from many of you, and we together cooperated with this, the direction of what we covered. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you very much for inviting me. It seems like you should participate a little bit more in asking questions, because there are no stupid questions except for the ones you don't ask when you have the opportunity. And we're running out of time here. But yeah, I have a lot more to share, and in due time I will have a lot more. But as we are all maturing in this journey in our own paths. I look forward to meeting up again and comparing notes.
I think I've found that numbers are very important in the process of measurement, and that there are different measurements done by different aspects of people that tell different things, and that there's no real good way of getting numbers wrong. The numbers themselves have both quality and quantity aspects to them that allow differences of measurement to mean something in tangible terms. So I find that conversations like this one, where we bring together different ideas of how numbers work, are invaluable to putting together something that'll work for the majority of people from human scale. So thank you all for being part of the conversation.
So, yeah, somebody said back a little while ago, I forget, that numbers were, intrinsic to our reality or our consciousness as human beings. I think that's really only true of our current state of consciousness, that we've actually come from, other deeper states of knowledge, where we had other kind of conceptions of our own reality, and kind of a broader perception of perhaps time itself. But what I do think is that numbers are intrinsic to, well, the place of concern is, I think, where numbers began, the place prior to reason. And numbers go hand in hand with what we think of as human reason, which is why mathematics has become what it is, which is more or less the study of logic more than numbers themselves. And just the study of abstract ideas in logical relation to one another. And well, to tie it back around, I think there's a lot more to discuss about numbers, and so I'm definitely game for another collab on the subject. But the numbers encode our thoughts, which are our reality, and so pay attention to the numbers. I think it's just good to pay attention in general, and patterns will definitely emerge if you're looking. That's it for me.
Awesome. All right, everybody. I'm Bridgette Lyn Dolgoff, and we had a whole host of amazing people on today for the collab. We're going to end the collab, but look for in the future for more conversations that we're going to have. And also, once I get the video uploaded on the Think collab, it will also have all the links that I provided in. For those of you who are average people and not as brilliant as the people we had on today, there'll be videos there that can help you with some of the terms and people that were thrown out into the conversation today. So anyway, have a great day. If anybody wants to comment on this, you can always email me for the Think Collab at thinkcolab, COLAB, @gmail.com. And you can find that on the YouTube channel. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great day, and we're over and out.